Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Keep It Kula Podcast. My name is Jacqueline, and I have a very special guest joining me today. This guest is a part of an iconic family name in the baseball world, but is now making a mark of his own. This guest began his broadcasting career as an announcer for his brother's lacrosse games, but has since moved up the ladder and is now in the MLB as a broadcaster. Though his father was his favorite broadcaster growing up, he also loved Dwayne Stats. Welcome to the show, Chris Caray, Athletics TV play-by-play broadcaster. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. You did your research. I appreciate it. How are
Of
you
course.
doing
I'm doing great, thank you. It's a little earlier where you are. I'm on the East Coast. You're on the West Coast currently. So good morning to you, and it's afternoon for me, I guess. So before we start off with lots to talk about, we got to talk about that crazy Nick Kurtz perfect game that you were able to call. And just tell me, what was that night like? 6 for 6 hits, 4 home runs. You got to hold his bat after the game. What was that like?
I mean, I still can't put it into words. I mean, the way Dallas and I talk about it to this day is it's the greatest individual performance in the history of the game. Offensive performance, of course. You know, you have the Sean Green game back in 2002 where Green went 6 for 6, 19 total bases, 4 home runs, 6 runs scored, 7 runs batted in. Well, Kurtz went 6 for 6, 19 total bases, 6 runs scored, 4 home runs, and 8 RBIs. So just one more RBI than Sean Green, and that put him ahead. And I think, you know, when we were watching the game, it was almost like slow motion playing out. Like it was were happening in such a weird kind of fluid flow state where you almost anticipated a great night to happen. I mean, three at bats in, he had a single, a home run, and a double, and I was thinking he's going for the cycle. Then he homered again and again and then again. And we were hoping in the ninth inning when Cooper Hummel came out as the position player to pitch, because at that point it was 12-3 or something like that, that
Yikes.
Kurtz might get a shot, because sometimes it's not easy hitting against those position players. And Carlos Cortez right in front of him moved the line, put two on with two out, and Kurtz just a little backside dart to left. And it was an incredibly special moment to be a part of. It was really cool to be with Dallas, and you can hear a little bit of ruffling after the call. That's because he and I are embracing. It was just a very natural feeling for me to go give him a hug, and I don't know if he was into it, but we really really enjoyed that night, and it's one that I don't think I'll ever forget.
Wow. And what's it like calling games with Dallas? He's quite the character, he's quite the personality. You guys have clearly formed a bond in the year and a half that you've been with the A's. What has it been like for this time and being able to call games with, a guy like him?
Well, Dallas Braden, if you're familiar with the baseball space, is a global superstar, and there's no shortage of that superstardom that comes out on the air. Make no mistake, he is the star of our show, and he is supposed to be the star of our show. So to be able to be in his atmosphere for a few hours every single day, calling baseball, learning from him, absorbing from him, getting to know what so many others have already known about him is the charisma, the talent, the capabilities, the knowledge, and to be able to use that and work with that is a very unique and fun challenge for me. And really, it's not a challenge; it's an opportunity, because I know anytime I say something or I set him up, he'll be ready to adjust. I mean, this is a major league player and a major league person on and off the field, and he is certainly even more than major league in the booth. So, we're growing every single day. We've got that big brother, little brother,
Yeah.
type of relationship where he's the cool guy and I'm more of like the awkward dude, and
Sure, sure.
unlikely friends coming together and talking about baseball. And it's been a really, really fun time for me and him. Or
Well,
I can't speak for him, but it has
yeah.
been a fun time for me.
Based on what it seems like he's also enjoying his time with you. As I've said, you guys have clearly formed this amazing bond that is apparent when you watch games of you both. I want to talk a little bit about, so obviously the Nick Kurtz, fantastic 6 for 6, four home runs was fantastic. It put you on cloud nine. You had a bit of a mistake a little bit after, which I want to talk
Yeah.
about, which was you called the Lawrence Butler home run that looks kind of obvious on TV as a foul. You spoke about it after making some jokes about yourself, but also taking accountability. How has the outpour been since this? Because I've been seeing, yes, there's been some jokes which have been kind of funny, and I'm sure you appreciate those too, and so does your broadcasting team as well. But how has the outpour of kindness been since that mistake of people saying that people who are broadcasters are just fans and viewers?
Well, it's been greater than I expected it to be. I mean, look, I know what I am. I'm a 25-year-old broadcaster that's really young to be in the major leagues. I have a last name that has certainly helped open some doors for me. I'm not going to say that anybody made any calls for me to get here. I mean, I went in the minors for 2 years, and I won't say I did my time, because there's a lot of really talented individuals that have spent a lot more time in the minor leagues that are just as deserving as me. But our fan base has been great, and they've been receptive to what I've tried to create on the air. And people outside, some people want people to be accountable, and I'm not very active on Twitter in terms of tweeting and doing all of those things typically, but I felt like in the moment that it needed to be addressed, especially considering that for a mistake as egregious as it was, our fans deserve to be informed as to what I thought and how I felt and where I was in my headspace. So for Lawrence, I apologize, and for our fans, I apologize, and I think they resonated with that. And
Yes.
it's great to be in a space where people can be supportive, but at the same time, I deserve to hear the jokes, and I deserve to wear that, because I pride myself on when the ball's in play and when the ball is hit for a home run. I'd like to think that I'm one of the top guys to bring that moment to life. That's what I believe about my father, and that's what we were taught from a young age to do. So when I don't do that, it is really frustrating.
So after something like that, of making a mistake that you were able to notice was a crappy feeling as well, how are you able to regain the confidence and to go out the next day like nothing happened and just to call the games as you normally would?
I'd like to say I was like a goldfish and my memory was short, but I still, I still am talking about it. I mean, people, because when you come home and you're around all the people that know you and are able to make jokes around you, like you want to explain the story to them too, and they want to hear it. So yeah, I think it's gotten frustrated to some who's like, bro, give it a rest. It's
Yeah.
over. It's done. But I got a really, really great night with Dallas and a few of the coaches, and they said we're Major League Baseball players. When we mess up, we have to absolutely bury that
Yeah.
and turn focus to the next page, because we got to go out on defense, or we got to go out on offense.
Mm-hmm.
And it was eye-opening to me, considering, though I'm not a player, and though my voice is being replayed hundreds of thousands upon millions
Yeah.
of times across multiple social platforms,
Yeah.
it was one play in what has been, in my opinion, a fairly strong start to a major league career. So
Mhm.
I just went to work the next day. I will not lie, I was incredibly timid, but my producer, our entire truck, my broadcast partner, they all put my nerves at ease. And the first homer back was a Miguel Andujar leadoff home run, the first at bat of the game. So right into it, and I didn't read it particularly well. Then the next one that inning was a Langoliers homer, and I got some words in my ear from my producer, and he said, "I'm proud of you." And my producer is an immensely talented guy. He's also my boss. So to be able to hear those words, and for a guy that usually, though he expects greatness, has a little bit of a soft serenity to him, to have that, I can't think, propelled me to finish off that game, which it wasn't my best. I was
Mhm.
very timid. I was
Mhm.
very, very second guessing myself.
Yeah.
And then I got home and things got progressively better. And then the next game was even better after that. And then this last game was really fun. And,
Yeah.
onward and upward. You can't
Yeah.
dwell on the things that will drag you down, because if you do that, you're going to start to create a level of poor consistency. And you don't want to
Yeah.
do that, because you want to be known for the guy that can make a mistake, laugh at it, and move on.
I think that's amazing to hear. And just to, in any career that anyone is in, or just in life, is that mistakes happen, and we see it every day while watching sports, right? We see it A ton. Like, I'm a Jays fan. I Toronto based, so I see it a lot. I saw it a couple days ago or last week with Vladdy. He was on third base and he got out. It was a mistake, but then he can go out there and hit a home run. But I think that's really important for anyone to know in life, and thankfully we're in a space where we get to watch this happen all the time with athletes where they make mistakes, right? Someone like Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time in football, made mistakes. It happens. So I think that's really amazing to hear, and just to hear that the confidence was able to come back slowly. But you've had the great support as well from not just people in the industry, but also your own team there. So that's amazing to hear. I do want to talk a little bit about the family, the iconic Caray family. Your great grandfather, obviously Harry Caray, grandfather Skip Caray, and your father Chip Caray. Growing up, was this kind of the norm to become a broadcaster, or was it more of you and your twin brother as well found your own voice and realized that, hey, I really like this?
It's probably closer to the second. I mean, my dad never forced us to be broadcasters. I think it was everybody around in our environment said, "Hey, are you going to follow the legacy?" Because they thought it was really neat that it was three generations. I mean, there wasn't anybody in Major League Baseball that had three generations, let alone four. And I grew an interest into it getting close to my junior and senior year when I started getting more and more exposed to it, because we didn't grow up in the same city that my dad worked. So it'd be 6 months on, 6 months off. It was just his job. And we'd see him on TV. We're like, oh, that's cool. But I never really had an idea of what that looked like behind the scenes and what that looked like in terms of the fan reception. It looked like to the access to baseball, which I was always a huge baseball fan compared to most other sports. So it was attractive to me. And then I started doing public address announcing when my brother was playing lacrosse in high school. And then I went to a small school in South Georgia for my first year, and the baseball team approached me and said, "Hey, you're on campus. We want you to do this." And I was raw. I was raw, but I had a sense that, okay, though I'm raw, I have the ability to string sentences together and call the ball and play without much understanding of how it goes. I was never listening to my dad in terms of like the mechanics of the broadcasting. I was listening to him because I was supporting him as his son. And then I transfer into Georgia, become the sports director, my sophomore year, the second semester I'm ever there. And my brother transfers in that second semester, and the rest is history. So it was full steam ahead, and we both discovered a passion for it. And he started a year later than me and caught up to me within about a month and a half. So it was incredible to see that and work with him, and to be able to get up to the A's and work for them this quickly is nothing short of a dream come true.
It's amazing. And yeah, you've said, you got to start working with your brother. What was that like, just being a young guy in this industry and getting to do it, with the closest person in your life, with your twin brother? Do you, say that, I know you've spoken very highly of him. I've heard on podcasts that you think he's much better than you and a lot of different things. But how has it been, though, just having him by your side for the early moments of your young career?
Right. I mean, I don't think people will ever fully understand what it's like to be an identical twin, but we were one entity at one point and then split apart. So
Yeah.
we have literally been together our whole lives. School, grades, friends, hopefully not dates, but like by and large, everything, jobs. We spent 2 years together in Amarillo, and they were excellent. And there was some iron sharpening iron, or for us, it was more two blunt objects sharpening each other, and somehow they both turned out fairly sharp. So he was my biggest critic. There would be home run calls in the minor leagues or walk-offs. Says, "You think that's going to get you to the big leagues? Really? Really?
That's great.
You better." And I'd have to take it, because even if I hated his guts for the next 3 hours, he was my brother, and I had to go to work with him the next day.
Sure.
And what he was able to do for me, I will never be able to repay him for. And then it came to the A's, and he and I were both competing for that job, and he came very close to getting the job. So it was me and him, neck and neck, and it ended up being me, which if it wasn't the A's, I think it would be a completely different story, and you'd probably be interviewing him. But it ended up being me, and our relationship has been wonderful. And now, there's a level of I can call him, and he says, "Hey, I don't like when you did this here. I really like what you did here," and I can do the same thing for him when he's working.
Was he roasting you on the foul call for the home run, or was he the one giving you a lot of support?
He was giving me a lot of support. I think he was proud of how I handled it in the moment
Yeah.
because anybody that knows me closely knows that, if this was a year ago or 2 years ago, maybe even a few months ago, I probably would not have handled it the same way. I probably might not have addressed it.
Mm.
It probably would have been a lot worse for me. And they were, I think, a little surprised by the fact that I was able to face it that way by myself head on. So,
Mhm.
he was giving me my flowers, and I mean, there was definitely a point where he was like, dude, what the hell did you see? What?
Yeah.
You know, but that was after everything. And I
Yeah.
think he was a great supportive person, and he handled all the duties of being my closest person in my life, and handling it and easing my nerves. And it was really so funny because that day was supposed to be kind of his day. He had not been working for a while, and he's doing the Senior League World Series for ESPN with Gordon Beckham, and it was like his first gig in a while and his first ever television assignment, his first ever. It's an ancillary assignment, but still like national work, and he was dominating. He was doing great, and he still is. And I kind of take the shine away from
Like the
him with
spotlight. Yeah.
hey, that ball's hammered to right, and that ball is foul.
Oh, yeah.
We're gone. And so he looks like, I can't have one day without you
Not
making me
one.
call you. So
Yeah.
um, I had to apologize for that, but he's been great. He's been
Oh,
wonderful.
I'm happy to hear that. And yeah, with this name of the, iconic Carey name, was there a lot of backlash and also just more pressure as someone in this job? As you've said that, you credit your name of helping you get to this spot, but obviously you have to do the work to stay. Has there been more, do you believe that you face more pressure than some other broadcasters out there just because of the nepo baby claims and all these other claims that you have to prove yourself even more than others?
I'll put it to you this way. I don't think I faced more pressure in the minor leagues, but once a broadcaster gets to the major leagues, let's say we're on the same, there's a 25-year-old broadcaster named Smith and there's a 25-year-old broadcaster named Carey. People are going to associate with the name Carey. And yes, I might have immediate supporters, but I'll have just as many and probably more naysayers and critics because of the nepotism element, right? In the minor leagues, I got a double A lead job right out of college with my twin brother, and it was met with a lot of animosity, and maybe deservedly so. I can't control who wanted to hire me, and I'm certainly not going to say no to that job because that job set me up in prime position to get a major league job.
Definitely.
But in the major leagues, you are under a microscope as it is. And then when you have three generations before you that have done it very, very successfully, including a Hall of Famer, a Braves Hall of Famer, and who was on the Frick Award nominees list this year that eventually was won by Tom Hamilton, and a guy who's been doing Major League Baseball for over 30 years, and my father, the expectation's going to be high out of the gate. Forget the 25 part. I hate when people talk about me being 25 because that is an excuse. I'm here because I'm ready. And it doesn't matter if a guy is 17, 18, 19 years old. You saw Bryce Harper ready for the big leagues. You saw Kurtz right out of college ready for the big leagues.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for the big leagues right out of college, but it took me 2 years and then I was here. And so, of course, that's going to be met with some disdain, and there are going to be people that want to see you fail, and there are going to be people that are very tired of the Carey legacy in baseball. But I have some words for them. I understand what you're saying. You might have to get continually more frustrated because there's more of us coming, and
Oh, yeah.
each one of us gets a little bit better. And so, if you don't like me, you're probably going to be frustrated when Stefan's up here. You're going to be frustrated when Tristan's up here, and so on and so forth. But we've never been forced to do this, and I just love my job and I love interacting with everybody, even if it's the bad stuff. Because when you have this job, you are under a microscope. And if you're going to celebrate your victories, like, oh, hey, great home run call, and people are going to celebrate that, then you have to be able to understand that people are more than comfortable and it's more than fair for them to celebrate or critique your failures.
Speaking a little bit more about your family there, have you ever seen the Will Ferrell Saturday Night Live sketch of your great grandfather Harry Carey there? What do you think of it, or like does your family ever talk about it? Just because SNL obviously has been around for a long time, and they've done some iconic sketches, and obviously this Will Ferrell one is a beloved character. So what do you think of it, or your family?
We love it. I mean,
Yeah.
my grandfather Skip, I don't think was fond of it. I think it was
Okay,
just because it
interesting.
was parodying his father,
Mm,
and they had a distinct relationship.
mm,
But Will Ferrell never meant any harm by it, and that is what got Will Ferrell on Saturday Night Live. When Will Ferrell auditioned for Saturday Night Live, you go to the audition tapes, and when he went onto that stage in front of Lorne Michaels and everything, it was Harry Carey, and so he really brought a characterized version of Harry Carey to life. And made Harry Carey, who was already larger than life, even larger
yeah.
than that. And I think that speaks to Will as an actor, as a comedian, as a performer, and it caused even more enjoyment, and it probably helped Harry Carey's image even more. And I don't know if that was possible, but yeah, I love it. And I think a lot of people come up to me like, oh man, I've got a killer Harry Carey impression. Only problem is it's not a Harry Carey impression. It's an impression of Will Ferrell doing the Harry Carey impression, which is just as fine to me. TJ McFarland, who pitched on our team earlier this year, had a great Will Ferrell Harry Carey impression.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I guess Will Ferrell then owes your family his career, his
Oh
iconic
no,
career.
no, 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 no. Will Ferrell's career, he was going to make it big on
He
his
would
own either
he would
way.
make it.
We're just honored, and we think it's really cool that a guy of his status and one of the foremost the comedy actors in history chose to do Harry Carey to kind of get his start, and took that gamble on a sports announcer and
Yeah.
turning it into a comedy, and what has paid off for him. Not as a result of that, but as a result of all of his other characters and having a very small piece of that. That's a really cool thing.
That's amazing to hear. I want to talk a little bit about your career now of when you first entered the athletics. What was it like when you called your very first game? What was there a lot of nerves? Was there a lot of excitement? What was the vibe of it, if you can remember, unless you blocked it all out?
No, it was April the 12th, 2024. It was against the Washington Nationals. I I try to remember a lot of that night, but what I keep coming back to is my connection to Lawrence Butler, and that connection has only strengthened because I had my first major league call, first home run call was Lawrence Butler in that first game against the Nationals. My first major league walk-off call was that game against the Nationals. It was Lawrence Butler. And my worst major league broadcasting call was Lawrence Butler in Houston. So
Oh,
I have a kind of I'm tied with the law dog, but it was to have your first major league broadcast end in a walk-off. I mean, it's pretty storybook, and to be able to meet that moment. And to introduce myself to the fan base in a way that was exciting and not like a 7-0 blowout loss, or the A's lose in a close one,
yeah.
a big winner, was great. I mean, going through the elements and everything was so foreign to me. I'd never done TV before. I'd never done a singular TV game, and here I am getting hired to do a job to do TV, and I'm not even looking in the close to the right direction of the camera. I'm off to the side, so my producer's like, what are you looking at, dude? Look into the lens of the camera. This is like 101." And I'm like, I don't know. And then when the game started and the camera was off of me, that's when I started to get more comfortable.
Yeah.
And it ended in a magical way. So to be able to get that, sure, there was some nerves, but I
Hmm.
have never really been the type of person to, when the game is going on, I'm nervous about what I'm going to say or what I'm going to do. Except that one night in Houston, the 26th of July in Houston, I was a little bit nervous after, for sure. But it's my job,
Yeah.
and it's like putting one foot in front of the other, and you start to run, and then you start to sprint, and hopefully you can run even faster than that. And in the blink of an eye, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years can pass, and then you call it a career.
Definitely. And do you still ever get nervous before games, or is there some sort of prep that you like to do to ease some nerves?
Nervous before games? No, not anymore. I just have a great team.
Yeah.
It's really comfortable knowing that the people in the truck and your producer and the people you work with have your best interest at heart, and are able to make light and have some jokes, and you all want each other to succeed. And to be able to have that, yeah, puts all of your nerves at ease. Sure, there are some games where you're really looking forward to going out and calling. Like I'm really excited when the Diamondbacks come to town tomorrow, because I was in the Diamondback system for 2 years, so I know all those guys, and a few of them that now I might see even more of them because of all the trades that have gone on. So to kind of have that reunion with some guys that are very near and dear to my heart, like a Corbin Carroll or a Tristan English or Blaze Alexander, if Jordan Lawler ends up getting called up as a corresponding move to Eugenio Suarez, who knows what's going to happen. So I am not nervous. I'm just excited to see some. I don't want to call them old friends, but some great acquaintances in the game that really set the foundation in the pros for me before even reaching the Athletics. So to be able to do that and to have that kind of giddiness about getting going again, even this late in the season, is a really cool thing.
I love to hear that because the season is a grind, right? This summer, it's a grind because you guys work practically every single day. It's not like football season where it's once a week and just a couple months. Baseball is a tough job. So I think everyone respects broadcasters. I would hope in every sport, but yeah, baseball it's a tough one. Before we end this, I gotta ask a question here. With the Athletics and the Blue Jays, as I said, it's a lot of Blue Jays talk on this show, a Toronto-based show. The Athletics are so good against the Blue Jays, and even with the Athletics having a bit of a wonky record this year, and the Jays being number one. Why are the Athletics so good against the Blue Jays?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think when these two teams play, there's a lot of excitement, and I don't know why. I know that they've had trade partnerships, and a lot of A's have gone to Toronto and have loved their time. I think about Donaldson. I think about Chris Bassett. I think about a number of other guys, just not in the distant past, but right in the not so distant past. The Blue Jays are a good team, and the Blue Jays are an up and coming team, and the A's have had some really good teams, and the A's have had some really great offensive talent, and at points they've been traded away. So this year, Toronto had the A's number. I mean, we went there and we played against the Blue Jays, and well, it was in that month of May where we were just dominated. And Toronto, that's where everybody started to say, hey, wait a minute. This Blue Jays team is pretty good, and they're not even at full strength right now. So I think it's going to be a great little fun rivalry as far away as they are for years to come. But this is going to be a fun A's team to take on what is going to be a really fun Toronto Blue Jays team. And hopefully Toronto is able to go deep in the playoffs and bring their country home another World Series, because the support there is fantastic. The fans there are incredibly kind. I got food poisoning at one of the games, not at the stadium, but before the game, so I missed a game.
You gotta tell me where it is offline.
But I really enjoyed my time at the Rogers Center and seeing my buddy Ben Schulman, who we were on the team together, and his incredibly talented father, Dan.
Yeah.
And I was just shocked at how big the Rogers Center is. I'm just like, this is a massive space. But it's no wonder why they get free agents. It's no wonder why players, when they get traded there, they want to stay there forever, because the culture is fantastic. Toronto in the summer is beautiful. Toronto as a city is so multicultural, and great food, a great environment. And I think the Blue Jays are going to have some success. They're one of the best teams in baseball, and John Schneider and the rest of the Blue Jays staff have done a great job with that club.
I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of the listeners on this show are huge Toronto Blue Jays fans, myself included. So hearing you say that is amazing to hear, someone on the West Coast. And Rogers Center is absolutely gorgeous. I've actually never seen a baseball game other than Rogers Center, which I definitely want to put on my bucket list.
You're going to have to change that. You're close to New York City. You go see Yankee Stadium, City Field.
Yeah.
San Diego is beautiful. It's far away from home, but if you want to, when it's still a little bit cool in Toronto in the early months in April, make a trip, see a lot of baseball. Maybe come see the A's.
Yeah, it's a bit far, but I'm definitely planning on it. It's on my bucket list to be able to go to every single ballpark, so it'll take a little while maybe, but with what I'm doing here, I feel like I can make the trip to do that and make memories. And yeah, there's so many amazing ballparks that I've never been to, and I've been in those cities, so definitely on my list. But Chris Caray, thank you so much for coming on the show. We can find you on Twitter at Chris Caray. We can hear you on TV calling the A's. Good luck to you the rest of the season, and thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you, Jacqueline. Thanks for handling all of this with such professionalism. I really, really enjoyed this. You're a rising star. Can't wait to see where you go. And hopefully every once in a while you put on a green and gold cap if your Blue Jays faithful will allow it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. All right, everybody, that is going to do it. Once again, Chris Caray, if you enjoyed the episode, you can hit the subscribe button. This will be on Spotify as well. Once again, thank you so much. Bye-bye.